It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. It's WCCS AM 1160, FM 101.1. He is Bob Pollock from the Penn State Extension Service here in Indiana County. Good morning.
Good morning.
I said earlier this morning, folks can call and ask you questions, 479-1160 or 349-WCCS. That's 349-9227. And you get to this time of the year, and you say to yourself, gosh, we talked about plants last week, the indoor plants, and have a little checkup on them. We had a question last week about lawn reseeding. Now we have this big coating of snow. We've got some rain coming this weekend. Everything's going to get all wet outside again. What do you talk about around the office at this time of the year?
Planning ahead.
Planning ahead, of course.
Or trying to catch up on things we maybe forgot to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things with the snowfall, if you have plants that might be sensitive to the limbs splaying out or coming apart,
heavy
the
snow.
Integrity of the plant with that heavy snow, if you hadn't maybe tied those up a little bit or just put something around them just to try to hold those branches not tight,
mm-hmm.
but just enough that to keep them from that snow load bending the branches out.
Little baler twine?
Will work wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
In almost tying them a little bit like you'd tie up a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Just spiral that up there just to keep that integrity of the plant there.
Mm-hmm.
Because once those branches become bent out, they rarely come back on their own.
Snap back.
So then we got to do other things to try and fix that.
Yeah.
So that can be something that as you see these things, oh yes, I should have done that, and come back and get it done. Protecting plants from wildlife. Things might have been okay, but now with snow cover, deer,
not as many
for example,
things for them to chew on.
might be looking a little bit harder to get food when there's complete snow cover on the ground. So they may be looking and foraging around more, and they may come and visit a plant near you. So it would be good to double check that. And if you have plants in the past, especially arborvitaes and things like that are very attractive to deer, go ahead and net those or fence them, anything that will help just keep them away from that plant and protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, once those arborvitae, once the bottom branches are eaten off, those won't come back. So you'll have a stem.
You'll have sticks on the bottom and leaves on the top.
Yes, you'll have a trunk, and it'll look like an elevated Christmas tree up there.
Once it gets to a little bit deeper into the winter, then their food sources become even more scarce.
Yes.
Particularly on the young plants, the young bark, they'll chew that away too, won't they? And that'll kill the plant.
They will. Yeah. So even now, and too, if the ground starts to freeze, it can be hard to pound stakes in the ground and things. So, best to do those things, or at least get prepared now, so that we have that taken care of for the dead of winter.
We have talked in the past about people who have shrubbery, particularly out along the road, and salt damage from the snowplows, and protecting them. And I know that you're a proponent of burlap.
Yes, any barrier that will help deflect that salt spray and get it up around and over the plant, or just collect it and keep it from drifting farther. Because it's usually that drifting, especially if you live near a highway where the traffic goes 55, 65 mile an hour, that salt spray it just becomes airborne. And all those little particles float off in the breeze, and then they'll land whatever will stop them or get in their way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that might be our border plants or things that are there to help block sound and block noise and block dust. Those will also collect that salt and may be damaged by that.
But when you are putting up those barriers, you want something permeable, don't you? So because if you put like a heavy plastic, that's going to prevent moisture from getting to the plant. Or am I wrong about that?
Well, if you have that plastic barrier out away from the plant, we don't want to.
So you're going about a foot out.
Yeah, we don't want to wrap that plant. No, you can wrap a plant in burlap, but you can also come out from the plant so that it's not touching the plant and make that barrier there. and still it will function in the same way.
Okay. Let's get a caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What can we do for you today?
I have a question. My husband planted garlic in October, and it's not up yet. What is the matter?
Okay. Looking for some garlic here.
Well, and that sometimes happens. So if things cool off quicker than normal, and when in October did he plant it? Early or late?
Right in the middle.
Okay. Well, it didn't have enough time to germinate. That sometimes happens. It is nice when we get it in and we do get little leaves and it comes up, and that'll stay that way over winter. But it also will be okay if it didn't come up yet. You might want to double check it here, once or twice during the winter, but it still should be okay. It probably started to grow roots, but it just wasn't able to put the top up through.
So come spring, it should come back?
So then when the soil temperatures go up and it gets warmer in the spring, then it should germinate and complete that process, and you'll see leaves come up.
So hope is not lost for your garlic.
He always planted garlic, and it always came up.
Yeah.
But this year, it's not coming up.
Well, hopefully everything is okay. Now, you can still go out and check it and make sure that for some reason it didn't rot. But as long as those bulbs are intact, and you probably should, if you dug one up, should see a little bit of root growth on them. They may just not have pushed the top out yet.
Okay, I thank you very much for your information.
You're
we'll
welcome.
Try that.
Okay.
Have a wonderful
Merry
holiday.
Christmas to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Merry
You
Christmas
too.
to you, too. That's very nice
Yes.
of her to say that.
That is.
We appreciate that. 479-1160 or 349-WCCS if you have a question for Bob. Folks, do put things in the ground in the fall and expect them to come up. When they don't, they might consider it a lost cause, but don't give up hope.
Yeah,
eh?
don't give up hope on this.
In addition to garlic, what are some of the other things that people put in the fall and hope to see soon?
There's not too many things.
Okay.
Usually, if you're, and that's one where we want to get that in October. And usually if we get a little bit of growth on it, that's fine. It's a very tough plant. We'll overwinter that way, and then it'll complete its growth pattern then in the spring, ready to be harvested in July usually.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't get it germinated in the fall, that may slow it down a little bit, so our harvest date may move a week or two, shift, later in the summer, based on whether we get how much growth we get in the fall.
Mm-hmm. We were talking.
Some of this, if you have some protection, I mean that does open the window up a little bit that you could plant some shorter day things. So some people might put in lettuce or something like that,
mm-hmm.
Which they hope to harvest and eat off of
through the winter.
Yeah, well, but you got to have a protected. Sort of protected culture there, either a low tunnel, a low plastic tunnel,
mm-hmm.
Or a little hotbed, or a greenhouse, even a little hoop house that you have a little bit of heat in. And sometimes you can have a little, even homemade hoop house, and then you put a row cover inside of that over top of the crop.
Okay.
So if you have beds in there, you could have things planted in there now, but then you've got the outer covering from the hoop house. You have the low covering that goes right over the bed and above the plant. So you've got a greenhouse inside a greenhouse. Aha, yeah. So that and
how does it get enough
happens.
Light?
Well, you get light reduction, and that's one of the big problems we have here. Is our days are shorter,
mm-hmm.
and the light intensity is much less. So sometimes that works better than other times.
Okay.
So the more light we get, the better off you'll be. And if we get a lot of heavy cloudy days, then the crop won't do so well.
The other day on our, I think it was on our 5 random facts, the 2 vegetable plants that are perennials. Do you know what they are?
That are perennials.
Perennials.
Well, we have asparagus.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. And we have rhubarb.
And that's the other one. Now, they said there were only two. Are those the only two you can think of?
Yeah, because those, and they are herbaceous perennials, so they're not a true evergreen or a plant, that's growing some all year round.
Right.
They're going to grow, and it's like a perennial flower. So the top dies back in the winter, but the root system is alive for multiple years, and then we get new growth coming out of the crown of the plant every year.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations on the use of the word herbaceous.
Yeah,
I didn't think we'd get that one squeezed in here today.
Well, we did. We made it.
We did it. Okay, minute left. What do you got coming up? Anything coming up?
Oh, there's always things coming up. We're getting ready. The end of January will be the big Mid-Atlantic Fruit and Vegetable Convention, which has been for years held at in Hershey, and that attracts producers from multiple states in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and so that schedule has just come out, and so people can be signing up for that now.
Okay.
Farm show will be coming up.
What are you carving for the butter sculpture this year?
We can't say.
Secret.
Yeah, it's a secret.
Secret.
Yeah. It'll be something agriculture related.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How many failures?
And it'll be made of butter.
How many failures do you have before the one that you say this is the one?
Well, you got to practice.
I understand. Yeah. All right. Well, that Jimmy Stewart statue you're working on, I'm sure.
There you go. There's an
idea.
idea.
All right. He is Bob Pollock from the Extension Service. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank, WCCS AM 1160, FM 101.1.